Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been in the United States since September 21, representing Jamaica's interests in a number of fora at the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Catch highlights of his assignment in Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is back on the island following a 10-day working visit to the United States of America. On the weekend, Mr. Holness was in the U.S. capital of Washington, D.C. to hold high-level talks with a number of dignitaries. Before that, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was at the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The week-long engagement saw the Prime Minister co-hosting a high-level luncheon on climate change with his Norwegian counterpart, Erna Solberg. He used Sunday's function to call on world leaders to double their contributions to the Green Climate Fund, GCF. The fund is seeking to raise $100 billion by 2020 to aid developing countries adapt and increase their resilience to climate change.
I am confident that our fund will continue to respond to the needs and ambitions of developing countries, but we need to place it in a position to effectively do so.
On Monday, Mr. Holness addressed the Climate Action Summit, where he urged the international community to accelerate climate financing initiatives for developing countries like Jamaica. The Prime Minister argued that though there's been pledges of support, the process was slow and fragmented, with many bottlenecks in accessing funds.
Colleagues, there is no silver bullet for climate finance challenges. However, by supporting and promoting existing and new initiatives, we will be taking action that the younger generation is demanding. Remember, they are watching.
And while co-hosting a high-level breakfast panel for sustainable ocean economy Monday, Prime Minister Holness pledged Jamaica's full utilization of a recent United Nations report on the blue economy.
It is my hope that the report before us will serve as a wake-up call globally. Jamaica will examine thoroughly and use it to assist with our national development plan.
On Tuesday, Mr. Holness joined other world leaders to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birth at a United Nations function. He called on the international community to build on Gandhi's legacy of advocating for the poor and being a catalyst for positive change.
Gandhi's doctrine of nonviolence and sacrifice, together with his vision for a more equitable world, is a source of personal inspiration to my own leadership, and I know that his life's work will continue to inspire new generations to come.
Though Prime Minister Holness was on assignment in the US, he kept a close tabs on the island. On Wednesday, he ordered a probe into reports of disturbances in the public transportation system in the corporate area. Back at the United Nations General Assembly Wednesday, Mr. Holness again called for a change to the way highly indebted middle-income countries like Jamaica are classified. According to the Prime Minister, the classification locks the island out of loan consideration and access to financing that would assist the country in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
I therefore urge development partners to redouble their efforts and contribute resources for the delivery of the 2030 Agenda. We also encourage UN member states and the UN development system to continue fostering an enabling environment for meaningful and durable partnerships for the benefit of all. No one should be left behind.
The Prime Minister made a similar call at a high-level dialogue on financing for development on Thursday. That conference was held under the theme, Moving to Fill the Climate Action and SDG Financing. The same was true for a fireside chat held as part of the high-level meeting to review the progress made through the Small Island Developing States Accelerated Modalities of Action, or Samoa Pathway. Thursday saw Prime Minister Holness welcoming news that Jamaica would be benefiting from €8 million to tackle gender-based violence. The funds will be available in 2020 and will come from the Spotlight Global Initiative. The program is a partnership involving the United Nations, the European Union, and beneficiary countries aimed at eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls.
We have been taking a strategic and collaborative approach to the issue of gender-based violence, and we are working assiduously with local and international partners to prevent and respond to acts of violence against women and girls.
And on Friday, the Prime Minister addressed the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He reiterated Jamaica's commitment to mitigate the effects of climate change by announcing a national tree planting initiative. The 3-year program will be launched this Friday at Jamaica House. It will see over 3 million trees representing every Jamaican citizen being planted across the island.
We remain committed to the reduction of the erosion of watersheds and the attendant impact on coastal ecosystems. We are partnering with others to ensure that our marine environment, on which our socio-economic survival depends, is being sustainably utilized and managed.
Mr. Holness also used the platform to call for greater collaboration to close the financing gap for climate action so that countries can meet the Sustainable Development Goals. A similar call was made to tackle trafficking in guns and drugs.
Jamaica is determined to achieve economic independence and social equity, working collaboratively with our bilateral and multilateral partners.
And the Prime Minister used his assignment to the United Nations to strengthen relations with Jamaica's international partners. Mr. Holness spoke energy security with US President Donald Trump, sustainable infrastructure with his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi, and climate change with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The Prime Minister also paid a courtesy call on the President of the 74th session of the UNGA, Ambassador Tijani Muhammad Bandi. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.